Hi, this is Jessica Nidifer with Agada Energy Healing. Checking in this evening after attending a talk yesterday with Sean King at San Jose State University. He was there talking about activism and how humanity has gotten to where it is today and how we have hit a dip in humanity or a low point in the history of humanity and how we got there and how we can possibly get back to a higher point in our existence. Some of the suggestions he gave were in order to change things in our environment, in order to begin uh, begin mobilizing people, just as we did for civil rights and women's right to vote and any other protests that we've done in the last few years for women's rights, that really older women are thinking to themselves, I thought I already fought for this, in the 1960s. Why am I having to march again? Why is this an issue now? I thought that we were done with this. And we can see that we have not evolved from that at all, and that we're actually in the same point of history as we were 50 years ago, almost 60 years ago. And we have to be aware of that. We have to be aware of history. It's beautiful to remember history in order to not repeat it. And it's also important not to get stuck there and not to be stuck in the pain of the history that people have experienced as a collective, the collective trauma that we have experienced as a species, as humans. And to remember that we are one species. We are all simply human beings. And that not to take away from equality, equal rights, and making sure that all of us are treated the same, that we also remember not to put separation in there as we begin to create anew. And one of the things that he was talking about, Sean King, at this talk the other night, was about how to mobilize people as we did back in the 60s and doing it now, present day, and why it hasn't been working so far. And part of that is because there's a few steps that he has shared, and one of them was, the first step in getting people mobilized is to find energized people who are really passionate and devoted to their beliefs and creating space for everyone and making sure that everyone is cared for and treated fairly and with love. It all comes back to love. Anything I'm going to talk about here tonight, it all comes back to love. And that's really what we are here to be, represent, and experience. And some of the situations or experiences that we're having today don't feel very loving. And so we get this energized group of people and we go out and we march, and then what happens? Nothing. What happens behind the scenes? Nothing. We go and we march and we have a day, and then it's back to the usual. And the people who are in power are still in power. She said, step one, everybody gets excited, but it's really not enough just to have an energized group of people. There has to be some organization, and that's a part that a lot of groups are missing. There's the energized, and then there's no organization. And so as we move forward, again, we are left with, great, we protested, we had a moment of awareness, and we got our message out there, and now everybody goes back to the same. So how do we organize? How do we get people together in order to create a comprehensive plan? Do we have a plan? That's the third step that he was talking about in the process of making change happen, changing our environment. What is the plan? And are we focusing on the problem, or are we focusing on the solutions? And then finally, the fourth part of the equation is abundance. Money, finance, financial backing. How do we, the people who are, quote, not in power at the moment, how do we bring this abundance into our way of moving forward? And how do we get these people of abundance involved? And who do we know in these groups, right? Being organized in these groups talks about getting to know what the skills are of the people in our groups. Who do they know? How can they connect us with the people that we want to know? There's usually someone in the group that can connect you to anybody. I really don't believe in 6 degrees of separation anymore. It's truly one. I was in Portland, Oregon a few weeks ago, or about a week ago now, doing some sound healing up there. And there was a woman's studio that I played at who I met 10 years ago. I met her husband before that 12 years ago, and they moved to Portland and they opened a Pilates studio. So I asked her if I could go and play. And she said yes. And it turned out that she knew a person who I knew here from San Jose, that they lived in Sedona together years ago. And that the friend that actually got me into the sound healing session for the next day at an urban ashram, she met the person who was at the Pilates studio, and she had actually been in San Jose, both of them at the same time, attending the same yoga studio where I met both of them, but didn't meet until they got to Portland. You can't make these things up. The synchronicities of life and how energy really pulls us to each other, how our energies pull us to each other. We are all beings of energy. Just because we're in this physical body doesn't mean we don't have an energy that comes off of us. Our thoughts, our feelings, our beliefs, they all have an energy attached to them. They are what we are. We cannot move through this life without people feeling us, without people sensing our presence. Even if it's just somebody walking behind you and you can feel them, maybe staring at you, or someone trying to get your attention, and you can feel their thoughts coming towards you. Excuse me. So it's really important, as we become energized and as we start to organize our groups of healing and getting out into the world, eradicating racism and changing our environment, making sure we have equal rights for all beings, not just one group or another, to pay attention to the groups that are being targeted at the moment and have been targeted for years and hundreds of years, and to also to remember to keep ourselves as one, and to remember that we are all in this together. And the more we can see ourselves that way as one, then the easier it is for us to continue carrying that vision and bringing it to fruition and bringing it to this physical world. We must begin to see ourselves as healed and whole, as energetic beings. The work that I do as a healer, working with energy, working with frequency, is all to do with our mind and that energy within and who we are. And the mind is the tool that we work with in order to create things that we want here in this physical plane. So if we are not seeing ourselves as healed and whole, and we are concentrating on the symptoms and the experiences and the trauma that we're having here, we're continuing to keep ourselves and perpetuating those feelings and those experiences as a collective. So as a collective, if we don't begin to start seeing ourselves as healed and whole, we are never going to be able to reach the goal of this equal rights, or this equal belief in beings all together on this earth. There are facts of the situation, and then there's the truth. I see the facts as what's happening in the world right now. And the fact is that there's 1% that are in control of this world right now, or less than 1% that have the money in this world right now that are running the show behind the scenes and in front on our TV screens. And we feel like we can do nothing. And that's not true. We can do the physical things here on earth, like voting, being aware, activism, knocking on doors. Like what happened to grassroots? You know, when Bernie Sanders ran, he started grassroots again and knocking on people's doors and doing small rallies. The first one he did was in San Jose, and I actually got to go. That's where it starts. We have to go knock on people's doors. We have to get to know our neighbors again and share that love for each other, no matter who they are, no matter what they're doing, right? And then it's not say that you have to like everyone or be friends with everyone. It's to accept and allow each person their experience, and continuing to see ourselves as healed and whole. The facts are that the world is not a very pretty place to live at the moment. It's not very loving. There's not very many people that are cultivating that dream of true love here in this physical plane. We've all felt it at one point in our life, I'm sure. I know I have. And it was beautiful. And it wasn't just for another human being. It was for, a moment in my life in front of the ocean, or a moment where I had an experience with a group of beings, or with my dogs, for that matter. who really do teach me unconditional love every single day. The facts are that no, things don't look very good in the world right now, and we are in a dip in the reality of humanity at the moment. The truth is, we are all beings of this light and love that we seek constantly in others. The truth is, the more we perceive ourselves, the more we imagine ourselves to be and see ourselves in our mind as healed and whole, whatever that looks like for you. There's no right or wrong in that process. It's totally for you and for each individual. And the more we cultivate that belief, that truth, the easier it is to bring it forward here into the physical realm. No matter what the experience is, no matter what the situation is, no matter the trauma that we've experienced in the past, how does it serve us holding it moving forward? I'm not saying to forget about it. History is awesome to be there to remember so we don't repeat. That's great. And how is it serving us if the attachment to that trauma is still within us? We have to do the inner work. We can go out and we can vote, we can be informed, we can be aware, we can be conscious. And what about the inner work? What about the emotions and the trauma that we're holding within our cellular body? What are we doing as a collective to heal this? How are we viewing it? Are we seeing it as the woo-woo, or are we seeing it as an actual thing? Energy is a thing. Energy is matter. E=mc². This is science. Why do we see it why do we see it as not possible to change things by the way we think or believe, or how we speak and how we share? Are we aware when we're talking where we're coming from? Is it coming from the heart? Are the words coming from our mouth, the screaming voices in our head? Or are we taking a moment to really be conscious of ourselves and the light within us, and how we can project that out? How we can be the most loving being as much as possible in these times. This is where we begin to change. We begin to look at ourselves. We have to start with ourselves, each one of us. It doesn't matter what's happened to us. These are all experiences. And I encourage people that I work with and myself to let go of the labels that we've put on these experiences and the labels we've put on people that keep us limited in those relationships, that keep us limited in the relationship with ourselves and the allowing of expansion of ourselves. I've said this before, we're made of the same things as the stars and the planets in the universe. And if the universe is infinite and never ending and limitless, I imagine that we are all the same. This is where I believe imagination is not just imagination. Imagination is not just imagination. How do we create things on earth? We have a thought, we have an idea, we speak it, we share our truth, we share our idea, and then we build it, we create it here. The more we can be aware of our thoughts and our desires and making sure that they're in alignment, the thoughts with the heart's desires, the easier it will be to create here from love. When we create from love, when we attract abundance with love, we attract it in a way that's going to allow us to continue to share. And as we share with this intention of love, it is received with love, and it is received with kindness and compassion. There are many billionaires in the world, there are many millionaires in the world that have attracted a lot of abundance, that have amassed abundance over their lifetime, and they don't choose to share, or they choose to keep it for themselves and their family. It's not for us to judge whether they share it or not. It's their experience. And whatever they came here to experience on that level is for them. It's not wrong. I have dreams of bringing and attracting abundance into my life as well. So I'm able to help others. And if that's the only reason why I choose to attract abundance into my life, then what about me? Why is it not okay just for me to have abundance for myself? And then choose to share if I wish. but not because it's expected. Expectations equal disappointment every time, and each person is here to have their own experience. And the less we sit in judgment and the less we sit in victimhood, the easier it is for us to accomplish what we are dreaming. This heaven on earth that we are dreaming together as a collective. We have forgotten the truth that we are beings of love and light through this collective trauma that we have experienced for lifetimes. It's now time to remember. It's now time to remember that we are healed and whole. It's now time to remember that we are here to support each other and uplift each other in this dip in humanity, which is only temporary. It is only temporary. I wish for all of us to begin to take responsibility for ourselves. I wish for all of us to be kind to one another and to really listen to each other, not just think about what we want to say next or how we're going to respond. And we're all guilty of it. It's okay. Simply being aware, moving forward, doing something different than we usually do. Switching up the neural pathways by doing something different. Going out and marching. Having a gathering at your home that brings people together to have a talk about how to move forward as an organized, energized collective with a comprehensive plan and abundance. And I don't just mean abundance of money or finance. Abundance can be of anything. Abundance of love, abundance of compassion, abundance of worthiness to be in this space and time and to experience love and to be love and to know that you are lovable and to share that truth with everyone. So yes, we have this practical, physical, logical world and this science side of our brain. And there's a whole other part of us that is magic and imagination and dreams that we somehow forget about as we, quote, mature into adulthood. We forget about the awe of just putting your feet in the mud at the park and squishing the mud between your toes, or rolling down a freshly mowed grass hill and having grass all in your hair and stains on your knees from rolling around on the grass. We forget about the awe of just seeing a butterfly flying past us as we mature into adulthood and see all these other things is so important. Let's come back to that childlike awe as we begin to create and move forward. Let's get out of our heads. Let's get out of the thinking. Yes, thinking is involved in organization. I get that. And let's organize from the heart. Let's mobilize and energize from the heart. Let's have a clear message from the heart and how we're feeling. And doing our best to leave the attachment to the traumas that we've experienced in this lifetime and past behind. Not to forget the history, to honor it, to move forward in a different way so we can create new, so we can change our environment together. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm doing my best to do these videos when I'm moved by something, and this talk at San Jose State the other night was it was awesome, and I'm really grateful for the organizers that put it on. Thank you, Bill Armeline and Nicole Stewart for inviting me, and Bill for moderating the talk and having this great panel come and talk to the students at San Jose State University. And really bringing history into San Jose State. San Jose State has so much history in it as well. And then to bring these amazing people into it to talk and to bring new ideas. Thank you so much for having us the other night and for all the talks that you're going to coordinate and organize in the future. If you're interested in learning more about the energetic body and being healed and whole and connecting in with your higher self, your energy body, your intuition, and understanding how you want to move forward in this life, give me a call. Email me or connect on my website and see if it resonates with you. I'll be posting this on YouTube and Facebook and all social media. And you can always leave comments. I'd love to connect and have a conversation. My practice is Agada Energy Healing. I'm in San Jose, California. I can be reached on my website at agadaenergyhealing.com. That's AGADA energyhealing.com. Or you can send me an email at jneidefer@hotmail.com. That's JNEIDEFFER@hotmail.com. I look forward to connecting with you and learning about you and your story and how we may all move together in the best way. Much love. Thank you.